The struggles of a pioneer farmer widow in the late 1800s and early 1900s in eastern Washington. The late 19th century was a time of relentless hardship for those who chose to forge their lives on the American frontier. Among the most vulnerable were pioneer farmer widows, women who found themselves alone after the loss of their husbands. These women not only endured profound grief, but also faced monumental challenges in maintaining their livelihoods, raising children, and navigating the social and legal obstacles of the time. Their stories are a testament to human resilience in the face of adversity, and understanding their struggles offers insight into the realities of life on the frontier. The day a pioneer wife became a widow was the beginning of a profound and often lifelong journey of grief. Her husband's death meant the loss of her partner in every sense, emotionally, practically, and economically. Frontier marriages were partnerships of survival, with husband and wife sharing the labor required to sustain their household. Losing her husband not only robbed her of companionship, but also left her without the person she relied on for physical strength, protection, and guidance. In the immediate aftermath of her loss, the widow faced overwhelming sorrow and often had little time or space to grieve. The constant demands of frontier life forced her to suppress her emotions and instead focus on survival. This emotional toll was compounded by loneliness, as many pioneer families lived in isolation, often miles away from neighbors or towns. This absence of a support system left widows to navigate their grief in solitude, a burden that led to depression, anxiety, and often feelings of hopelessness. The loss of a husband was a financial catastrophe for most pioneer families. Far from the safety nets of modern society, widows were immediately thrusted into economic uncertainty. Farms were the lifeblood of frontier families, and maintaining them required constant labor. Tasks such as plowing fields, planting crops, harvesting, and tending to livestock were physically demanding and typically performed by men. A widow often lacked the physical strength or technical skills to take on these responsibilities alone. Moreover, widows faced legal barriers that compounded their economic struggles. In many cases, women did not have clear legal ownership of the land or property. Laws often favored male relatives or creditors, leaving widows at risk of losing their homes. Even if a woman retained control of the farm, she might not have the means to keep it productive. Without the resources to hire laborers or purchase the necessary equipment, many widows were forced to sell their land at a loss and seek other means of livelihood. For widows with children, the responsibility of parenting added another layer of difficulty. Frontier life demanded that children contribute to the household's survival, often taking on adult responsibilities at a young age. Widows had to balance their children's emotional needs with the practical demands of running a farm. They were responsible for ensuring their children were fed, clothed, and educated, despite having limited time and resources. Children who lost their fathers also faced their own grief, and widows were left to console and guide them through the loss while managing their own sorrow. The widow often had to make difficult choices, such as whether to keep children on the farm to work or send them to relatives or neighbors who could better provide for them. This separation, though pragmatic, was deeply painful and added to the emotional strain of widowhood. In addition to their practical struggles, pioneer widows faced societal pressures that influenced their decisions as well as limited their options. Communities often viewed widows with a mixture of pity and suspicion. They were expected to maintain their households and raise their children with dignity, yet they were also judged if they sought assistance or remarried quickly. For many widows, remarriage was a necessity rather than a choice. A new husband could provide labor, financial support, and protection, but such marriages often came with complications. The widow might face resentment from her children or tension with the stepchildren if her new husband had a family of his own. Additionally, remarriage could lead to the loss of autonomy, as the widow's new husband typically assumed control of her property and household. Widows who chose not to remarry faced other challenges. They risked being seen as a burden on their community if they required help during harvests or emergencies. Independence was admired in theory, but often discouraged in practice, as women operating alone on the frontier were viewed as vulnerable or unconventional. The physical demands of widowhood on the frontier were relentless. Widows often worked from dawn to dusk to keep their farms operational. They took on tasks traditionally considered men's work, such as chopping wood, mending fences, and plowing fields, in addition to their existing responsibilities of cooking, cleaning, and caring for children. This workload frequently led to physical exhaustion and chronic health issues. The mental strain was equally severe. The chronic pressure to provide for their families, coupled with the isolation of frontier life, left many widows feeling overwhelmed. Without a partner to share the burden or offer encouragement, they were left to bear the weight of every decision and setback alone. The long winters, the unpredictable weather, and the threat of crop failure added to their anxiety, creating a cycle of stress that was difficult to escape. Despite these challenges, pioneer widows often found ways to survive and even thrive. In many cases, they relied on the support of neighbors and local communities. Frontier families understood the importance of mutual aid, and widows might receive help with planting, harvesting, or other labor-intensive tasks. Churches often played a vital role, offering emotional support, material aid, and opportunities for widows to connect with others in similar situations. The struggles of pioneer widows were profound, but their resilience and determination left a lasting impact on their families and communities. Many widows succeeded in keeping their farms operational, ensuring that their children had a foundation for future success. Others contributed to the development of their communities through their labor, resourcefulness, and leadership. The legacy of these women is one of courage and strength. They defied the odds to carve out lives for themselves and their families in a harsh and unforgiving environment. Their stories serve as a reminder of the sacrifices and hardships that shaped the American frontier, as well as the enduring spirit of those who persevered in the face of loss and adversity. In conclusion, the life of a pioneer farmer widow in the late 1800s and early 1900s in eastern Washington was one of unimaginable difficulty. These women endured the profound grief of losing their husbands while taking on the daunting task of maintaining their households and raising their children alone. They faced economic, social, and physical challenges with remarkable resilience, often finding strength in their communities and faith. Their struggles are a testament to the human capacity for endurance and adaptation, and their contributions to the pioneer experience should not be forgotten.